Tonight, presidential election petition court set to give its judgment in the petitions filed against the election of President Bola Tinubu. And true to their words, Nigeria Labour Congress commences two-day warning strike to compel the federal government to address workers' sundry demands in order to cushion the impact of recent economic policies. The Trade Union Congress backs out of the warning strike, gives the federal government a 2-week window to address some of the grievances raised by the workers.
On business news tonight, African Development Bank set to commit $25 billion for the continent's climate finance by the year 2050.
On sports news tonight, Spain's Football Federation appoints Montse Tommy to succeed fired Jorge Vilda as the women's national team coach, making her the first woman to manage the side.
From Abuja, the nation's capital, President Bola Tinubu says he will ensure that bottlenecks to investors are removed to allow investors thrive in the country.
And in international news from London, a US official says North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un plans to travel to Russia later this month to meet President Vladimir Putin.
We begin tonight with the big day tomorrow, when the Presidential Election Petition Court will give its verdict in the petitions challenging the victory of President Bola Tinubu in the February 25th presidential election. The Allied People's Movement, as well as the presidential candidates of the Labour Party and the People's Democratic Party, had petitioned the tribunal seeking to nullify the result of the presidential election, or the APM. In fact, among several issues, the petitioners contend that President Tinubu and his vice, Kashim Shettima, were not eligible to contest the presidential election. They also submitted that since President Tinubu failed to secure 25% of votes cast in the Federal Capital Territory, he should not have been declared the winner. Now, this is one day that Nigerians and indeed the international community have looked forward to. And with the court's approval of live broadcast of the proceedings in a bid to promote transparency, the world will be watching with bated breath as the judges give their verdict. In our next report, we give you an overview of the case and the build-up to tomorrow's judgment.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariola, had in November 2022 sworn in 307 justices to handle the 2023 general election petitions, while an additional 39 were added on May 25, totaling 346. Their job is to sit and deliver judgment before September 16. 5 of the judges are on the panel hearing the presidential election petition. They are Justice Haruna Samani, who is the chairman, Justice Stephen Ada, Justice Mansurat Balaji Yusuf, Justice Moses Ugo, and Justice Abba Mohammed. A senior advocate of Nigeria, Chris Uche, is leading the legal team of the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, while another senior advocate of Nigeria, Wale Olanipekun, heads the legal team of President Bola Tinubu. The incumbent Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, leads the legal team of the All Progressives Congress, and a senior advocate of Nigeria, Levi Uzouku, is the head of the legal team for the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi. 5 political parties lodged petitions against the victory of President Tinubu, including the PDP and LP. Others are Action People's Party, APP, and the Allied People's Movement, APM, and the Action Alliance, AA. However, shortly after the commencement of the pre-hearing session in May, the APP and AA withdrew their petitions. Some of the key issues contended by the petitioners include the academic qualification of the president, the alleged indictment of the president in the United States, and the alleged dual citizenship of the president. The petitioners also claimed that President Tinubu and his vice, Kashim Shettima, are not eligible to contest the presidential poll due to the alleged double nomination of Shettima. The petitioners also claim that since President Tinubu failed to secure 25% of votes cast in the Federal Capital Territory, he should not have been declared the winner of the February 25 election. Mr. Peter Obi also based his petition on the failure of INEC to upload election results on the INEC result viewing portal, the IREV, in real time using the bimodal voter accreditation machine, the BVAS. His demands before the court include retrieval of the certificate of return issued to President Tinubu and issue a fresh one to him. Alternatively, issue an order cancelling the election and compelling INEC to conduct a fresh election without President Tinubu and the APC. The petition of the Allied People's Movement is based on the alleged double nomination of Vice President Kashim Shettima. The case of the People's Democratic Party is quite similar to that of the Labour Party. The presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, is asking that it should be determined that the president was not duly elected by the majority of lawful votes cast in the election. The PDP also believes that the president did not satisfy the requirements of the Electoral Act 2022 and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999. The PDP candidate wants the court to declare him the winner of the election because he believes he secured the majority of lawful votes cast during the election. In the alternative, Atiku is asking the court for an order directing INEC to conduct a second election, a runoff between him and President Tinubu. Atiku also alleges that President Tinubu is unfit to lead Nigeria over an alleged indictment for drug-related offenses in the United States. However, the APC and its candidate challenged the competence of the petition of Peter Obi, arguing that he was not a valid member of the Labour Party at the time of his nomination as the party's presidential candidate, contrary to the Electoral Act. The proceeding kicked off on May 8 as the petitioners and respondents called their witnesses alongside loads of documents tendered to prove their case, while an attempt to broadcast the court sitting live was turned down. The five-member panel of the court reserved judgment on August 1 after hearing the final written addresses from all the counsels in the suit. The panel is mandated to conclude proceedings and deliver judgment within 180 days, and the panel has Wednesday, September 6, 2023, to deliver judgment. Whatever the outcome of the judgment, the Supreme Court will serve as the final arbiter for any of the aggrieved party to seek further redress.
Well, your award-winning Channels Television will be bringing you a live coverage of the proceedings at the Court of Appeal venue of the Presidential Election Petition Court starting from 7 a.m. tomorrow. To keep a date with us. Now we're keeping our eyes on that venue, so let's join our judiciary correspondent, Emanuela Ekele, as she gives us a feel of the atmosphere on the night before the big judgment day.
This courtroom is quiet and empty, as you can see, but the story will be different tomorrow as the Presidential Election Petition Court will deliver its judgment in the petitions of the Labour Party, the PDP, and the APM, who are challenging the victory of President Tinubu at the presidential election. As it is expected, the court will be filled to its capacity with journalists, with lawyers, and with party members, not forgetting watertight security that will be stationed everywhere around the court premises. Also, please stay tuned to Channels Television as we'll be bringing live proceedings live to your homes and your businesses. From the Presidential Election Petition Court, Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
Well, thank you, Manuela. Meanwhile, the police is warning against any attempts to cause a breakdown of law and order or incitement of any sort, both before, during, or after the delivery of the judgment by the Presidential Election Petition Court. The force spokesman, Mr. Muyiwa Adejobi, told a news conference in Abuja that the force has deployed to ensure law and order in all parts of the country. Mr. Adejobi urges all Nigerians to maintain peace and report any troublemaker.
Across the length and breadth of Nigeria, the police wishes to reiterate the commitment to ensuring the safety of lives and property before, during, and after the judgment. The Nigerian Police Force has diligently and place all necessary deployments and security measures during this critical period as officers and men are fully prepared to maintain order and enforce laws while respecting the rights and freedoms of all citizens. Furthermore, the Nigerian Police Force strongly cautions all individuals, including mischief makers and political gladiators, to be cautious in their actions and statements, as the force will not condone activities capable of inciting violence or causing a descent into anarchy. It is imperative for all citizens to embrace peace and maintain calm, regardless of their political affiliations, to ensure a peaceful and secure environment.
Away from the court marches to labor marches now. 1 day down, one more to go, as the Nigeria Labour Congress today made good on its vow to embark on a 2-day nationwide warning strike to compel the federal government to address demands which include the immediate reversal of the recent hike in the price of petrol, the payment of 8 months' salaries of university lecturers, and the fixing of refineries. The directive from the leadership of the NLC is that workers sit at home for the 2 days. However, the Federal Secretariat in Abuja did not shut its gates completely for the few workers who showed up for work. The situation is almost the same in some other parts of the northern region.
The Federal Secretariat in Abuja is usually a beehive of activities, with civil servants passing through this gate every working day. However, the turnout of workers on Tuesday is very minimal, as members of the Nigerian Labour Congress begin their warning strike. This entrance to the Federal Ministry of Education was shut for about 5 minutes, denying access for some workers who resumed for duty. However, it was opened after a few moments. The banks are also not exempted as their gates are shut. However, the banks are engaging the organized labor.
I'm aware that the Institute was engaging the Nubife and Asbife to ensure that they have a meeting of the mind and be patient with government and go ahead and see how things can be controlled properly.
The warning strike did not stop activities at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. However, activities in Kaduna and Yobe states are partially brought to a halt.
I have just came back from monitoring and enforcement, and our team are still out carrying out monitoring to ensure compliance. We have heeded to the call of the National Secretariat, and we are in total compliance with the instruction, and we are on strike.
After this 2 days warning strike, if at all government fail to comply, definitely sure we can go for the indefinite strike nationwide.
In Taraba State, workers also stayed off their duty posts as NLC officials enforced the sit-at-home order.
If I go around all the ministries, if I see any office that is open, I will close it and go.
Nevertheless, the NLC believes the first day of the industrial action was a success.
If you watch, our attitude to this is clear, and we're assessing it. We're happy that without enforcement, people are showing that they are not happy with what's going on, which is very important. Any worker that earns normal living is finding it difficult to come to work.
The ongoing warning strike is expected to end on Wednesday, September the 6th, after which the NLC say they will continue with an indefinite strike if the federal government refuses to address their demands.
In part 2, after the break, there'll be more on the NLC's warning strike. Plus, Edo State Deputy Governor Philip Shoaibu withdraws a suit to stop alleged impeachment plot by Governor Godwin Obaseki to remove him from office. Well, that's the moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live from Channels Television. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Presidential Election Petition Court set to give its judgment in the petitions filed against the election of President Bola Tinubu tomorrow. And true to their word, Nigeria Labour Congress commences two-day warning strike to compel the federal government to address workers' sundry demands in order to cushion the effect of recent economic policies. A trade union Congress backs out of the warning strike, gives the federal government a two-week window to address some of the grievances raised by the workers. And a U.S. official says North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un plans to travel to Russia this month to meet President Vladimir Putin. Staying with the two-day warning strike by the NLC, some Nigerians are already lamenting the impact of the warning strike. Channels Television's correspondent Timothy Crown went round Lagos State to assess the level of compliance and reports.
It's a Tuesday morning, and while they should be about their business for the day, these workers at the Ikeja Electricity Distribution Company in Lagos are locked out of their offices. On a good day, these are not the people who man this gate. These men are the gate out of the compliance team with industrial action declared by the Nigerian Labour Congress. Their action is taking a toll on the lives of some Nigerians.
Why? I'm coming from Ayobo. I have spent so much on transportation. My meter has been on tampered for several months. As I came down here, and on getting here, they are telling me NLC is on strike, that the gate is locked. What for? Because I don't understand. There is no effective communication for us to know that NLC is on strike. See vehicles plying the roads. It's not like those days that NLC will be on strike that you will not even see anybody moving. Who is sending their message?
But the industrial action order is not having any effect at the Lagos State Secretariat, where workers are seen going about their business. Bank doors are also open for business. At the Murtala Mohammed local airport, 8 men at work, while passengers are seen in and out of the terminal. We are here at the Nigerian Ports Authority in Apapa, Lagos State. It's a total lockdown of activities here, with members of the union insisting that the compliance is total with the two-day warning strike, and that in spite of the pains that truck drivers or individuals and entities who need to transact their businesses here go through. The queue is getting longer, with trucks which need access into the ports. A handful of them are coming out, but none entering.
The strike there is disturbing we drivers. They only strike in the port, not we drivers. So the reason why they are striking, we don't know. If the government can help us about the fuel subsidy or whatever, maybe everything will be solved more. But like this now, I don't really like it at all because it's delaying me personally as truck driver.
Wednesday, September the 6th concludes the two-day warning strike. Warning because the Nigerian Labour Congress says it is to call the attention of the federal government to what is in the offing if it fails to grant labor requests in easing the hardship brought to Nigerians through the removal of fuel subsidy. Timothy Crown, Adirbibi, Channels Television News.
Well, the warning strike was also observed in other southern states, with workers lamenting the economic situation, while some say they didn't receive adequate information about the industrial action. Well, this next report takes a look at the compliance level in the southern states.
The Nigerian Labour Congress has made good its threats to embark on a two-day warning strike on Tuesday and Wednesday to draw the government's attention to the economic hardships being experienced by Nigerians following the removal of fuel subsidy. In compliance with the strike directive, the NLC in Benin City, the Edo State capital, barred entry into the State High Court, where judgment in 2 petitions in the national and state assembly elections was scheduled to be delivered. That matter has now been adjourned till Thursday, September the 7th, 2023.
Yeah, we are out of, because of the 2 days warning strike. And you can see that the strike has commenced. The secretariat, it shut the government apparatus, we've shut everywhere down, including some of the fuel station and some of the bank. So the 2-day strike, warning strike, must go on.
Staying in the South-South, the Nigeria Labour Congress in Cross River State toured various ministries in Calabar, the state capital, to ensure they are locked. Chairman of the state chapter of the union, Gregory Olayi, explains that the strike is to express labour's grievances on the economic effects of the subsidy removal.
We are out this morning to see how effective we are in mobilizing for the warning strike. I think from what we have gathered here, or what we have seen on ground, we have succeeded in asking our members to stay at home. There is nobody in any of the offices we've been to. We are standing right in front of the Office of Head of Service, Cross River State, and there is nobody in the office.
Meanwhile, civil servants in Rivers State complied partially with the 2-day warning strike declared by the Nigeria Labour Congress. Some of the few workers seen at the secretariat told Channels Television that the partial compliance is as a result of inadequate information about the strike. Nevertheless, they lament the hardship occasioned by the removal of petrol subsidy and that the strike is long overdue.
If this strike will bring joy in Nigeria, in Rivers State, I am in support. We can't buy rice, garri no way, pepper no way. If you talk of one tuber of yam, they will tell you 5,000. Oh my God. We don't know where we are going now.
Meanwhile, the 2-day warning strike called by the NLC witnessed a relatively low compliance rate in Imo State in southeast Nigeria, as workers in the public and private sectors were seen at their offices, and indigents condemned the NLC's decision to call a strike.
Take for the poor masses, think for the poor Nigerians. Everybody's suffering. So they should work with the government. Look at the government program that favor the masses. They should partner with them and make sure things are okay for them. Let them not embark on this strike because it is not favorable for all of us.
The strike action was called in spite of ongoing talks between the federal government and organized labor on the FG palliatives, which are measures to cushion the impact of the removal of subsidy on petrol. Measures labor says have failed to yield the desired results.
Meanwhile, a section of the organized labor, the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, has agreed to give the federal government 2 weeks to address some of their grievances. Minister of Labor and Employment, Mr. Simon Lalong, disclosed this in Abuja at the end of a meeting with the leadership of the Trade Union Congress, led by its president, Comrade Festus Osifo. Comrade Osifo, who was a guest on Politics Today, shed some more light on the outcome of the meeting.
As TUC, what we normally do is that we continue engagement even beyond the eyes of the camera and behind the scene. Because for us, it's not sufficient for us to just issue letter to government and we just go to meetings that you have press, then at the end of the day, we shy away. No, what Nigeria wants is solutions. What Nigeria wants is results from the TUC's neck. So one of the fallout was that let us press government for additional 1 week. Then part of that as well was also that in 7 days, let's press government to bring about to improve on what they are currently doing, to move into the issues related to CNG, to move into the issues relating to even tax exemptions. Because we were told in one of our meetings that they are going to give tax holidays to people around the minimum wage, both from private and the public sector. But today, we have not seen the implementation of that.
And on to politics now. It appears the dispute between the Edo State Deputy Governor, Mr. Philip Shaibu, and Governor Godwin Obaseki is nearing its end, as Mr. Shaibu today withdrew his suit, seeking to stop an alleged plot by the governor to remove him from office. In a letter by the Deputy Governor, he explained that following a series of meetings with Governor Godwin Obaseki by prominent Nigerians, he has instructed his lawyers to withdraw the suit. Mr. Shaibu and Governor Obaseki had been at loggerheads following the Deputy Governor's decision to contest the governorship seat in the state. Well, let's switch gears now. For more on the news at 10, let's head over to our Abuja studio where Victor Matthias is sitting by. Hello again, Victor.
Hello, Kaide. Welcome to the nation's capital. Now, President Bola Tinubu says he would ensure that bottlenecks are removed and investors thrive in the country. The president was speaking during a meeting with the chairman, Hinduja Group Europe, a conglomerate with a total asset portfolio exceeding $100 billion, Mr. Prakash Hinduja in New Delhi, the Indian capital, ahead of the G20 summit. Nigeria's finance minister and coordinating minister for the economy, Wale Edun, who was also at the meeting, spoke on the prospects of the conglomerate investing in Nigeria.
You have just landed in New Delhi for the G20 meeting, and immediately, given the circumstances you found had arisen, where Mr. Prakash Hinduja, or the famous Hinduja brothers and business family, is unable to meet you tomorrow as planned, and you agreed to immediately meet him this evening, and it shows what you are all about, what you are determined to do is bring investment to Nigeria that will grow the economy and reduce poverty and make life better for Nigerians. Mr. Prakash Hinduja is of the Hinduja brothers. They have assets worldwide of $100 billion. And in America, they have assets of $50 billion. And if I may say so, their net worth is $32 billion. So they're the type of business people that you are keen to meet, and you are keen to get their commitment to invest in Nigeria.
The president, in his response, says he is in India with one focus, and that is to attract investments to Nigeria as well as create jobs for Nigerians and new revenue opportunities for the federal and sub-national governments.
I am determined, as I've always been. It is a very difficult period, but success is not made of an individual, except from a team, and I have a good team.
Yes. God will help you. God will help you. I'll pray for that.
Thank you,
so
sir.
that one day we come to Nigeria, where we see such a big success.
I'm looking forward to that.
Still ahead on the news at 10, African Development Bank is set to commit $25 billion for the continent's climate finance by 2050. That's some business news. Do join us again. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, Nigeria stands at a crossroads, compelled by necessity to seek local remedies for its economic regulations. These are the words used by the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, to explain the decision by President Bola Tinubu to withdraw subsidy from petrol and unify the exchange rates. He was speaking at the 16th Annual Bankers and Finance Conference holding in Abuja, where he emphasizes the need to invest in human capacity development of Nigerians. Our State House correspondent, Empress Hyman, reports.
Driven by the center.
It's the gathering of bankers, finance experts, captain of industries and investors. The Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, alongside the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning and other government officials, are in attendance. The focus here is on the role of the financial services industry in Nigeria's economic growth and empowerment.
We encourage the national government to put in place measures to boost export, expansion, and also creation of favorable export climate, reduction of trade barriers, increasing investment in infrastructure, which today is one of the discussion points.
The World Bank country director believes government policies have a huge impact on the economy.
Nigeria is a very young country. I think 70% are under 30, 50% are under 17. So it's truly a young country, and that's the demographic dividend that awaits Nigeria if this generation helps realize the potential so that those who are the children right now can really realize their full potential.
The withdrawal of subsidy from petrol continues to generate controversy, and the Vice President believes the decision is yielding results.
Nigeria is the destination of choice. Yes, we are having some turbulence because of the withdrawal of the fuel subsidy. And Your Excellencies, we know the consequences of unveiling a masquerade. We are not fools. We know the fuel scam industry is a very hugely loaded industry. They will make every effort to undermine us. But as I said earlier, the withdrawal of fuel subsidy is irrevocable. We either get rid of the fuel subsidy or the fuel subsidy get rid of the Nigerian nation.
At the end of the conference, a blueprint of the resolutions reached will be forwarded to the federal government and is expected to enrich government's policy formulation for the overall growth of the country's economy. Empress Simon, Channels Television News.
Now, to foster a sense of nationhood among Nigerians, we must move from choosing political alternatives to insisting on alternatives. This is the submission of former President Goodluck Jonathan and the former chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, former governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi, at the 60th birthday celebration of the director of the Center for Alternative Policy Perspectives and Strategy, Professor Udenta in Abuja. Conversations at the event also looked at the weaponization of Nigeria's diversity, while noting that though 63 years is relatively young in the journey of a nation, nationhood must be prioritized for any development to be achieved. Our correspondent, Kayla Megwa, was there and reports.
In less than a month, Nigeria will be 63 years old. And while conversations on nationhood are typical this time of the year, the 60th birthday of writer Professor Udenta is presenting the perfect opportunity for a deeper conversation on nationhood and what framework fits perfectly for the Nigerian democratic experience.
Democracy has not failed Africa. What has failed Africa are very corrupted leaders masquerading as Democrats.
Delivering the keynote address on the national dialogue on how to make Nigeria work is the former governor of Ekiti State, Mr. Kayode Fayemi, who believes alternative politics is the key to nationhood.
We need alternative politics rather than political alternatives. Even when what President Jonathan is doing, which 10 or so years after, all the political parties in this country agreed with. They even put it in their manifesto. Subsidy must be removed. Subsidy must be removed. Subsidy must be removed. We in ACN at the time we in ACN at the time in 2012, we know the truth, sir. But it is all politics. And that is why we must ensure that everybody is a critical stakeholder by stopping this winner-takes-all electoral approach.
The same sentiments are shared by former President Goodluck Jonathan, who speaks on the cleavages brought on by party considerations.
You've read some of the comments of our former leaders. Now, of course, I want to make it very clear that there is no nation called Nigeria. Yes, it's a geographical entity, it's a country, it's a state that has laws, but there is no nation. I believe, yes, we lost it at the formative years that could have been the easiest time. But for those who participated in the national conference, the 2014 national conference, if they are here and they are part of the discussion, they will tell us some of the issues they brought up. And we believe if we practice and follow our steps over the period, we We will not say we have a country called Nigeria. We will not say we have a state called Nigeria. We will also say we have a nation called Nigeria.
Today's event not only celebrates the 60th birthday of Professor Udenta, but the launch of 21 books written by the professor in the course of his career. Professor Udenta is director with the Center for Alternative Policy Perspectives and Strategy, Abuja, Nigeria. He was at various times a senior research fellow in the Center for Igbo Studies, School of Humanities of Abia State University, a pro-democracy human rights activist, and a director with the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
And that's where we wrap it up from the nation's capital. But Kairi continues the news at 10 in Lagos.
Well, thank you, Victor. We're staying in your city, though, as the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has vowed to overhaul the entire mass transit system in the nation's capital. Mr. Wike made the vow when he received members of the House of Representatives ad hoc committee investigating the failure of mass transit in Nigeria in his office. The FCT minister further announced that he will officially inaugurate members of his cabinet to facilitate quick action of his multi-pronged agenda for the FCT. Our correspondent, Gloria Mezoke, reports.
Shall we please?
Members of the House of Representatives ad hoc committee investigating the failure of mass transit in Nigeria are received by the Minister of the FCT, Mr. Nyesom Wike.
With which you have spoken.
Huge investments in mass transit schemes gone to waste, particularly in the FCT, have become a major source of concern for the committee.
One would wonder, for instance, why would a subnational like Lagos run their mass transportation, Lamata, very well? Only yesterday they launched the Lagos Blue Line. And if a subnational can do that, why can't the central government, especially in the capital city?
The FCT minister, who is apparently not oblivious to these areas of concern, unravels plans to cause a change in Abuja's mass transit system.
The truth of the matter, one must tell you, I'm going to overhaul the entire system. I'm going to overhaul the entire system. I thank God I'm going to supervise the 2024 budget. No one new project will enter anywhere. By the grace of God, we're going to inaugurate what we call our own cabinet by next week. The President will have given a figure. So we believe that at the time everybody's on board, then we'll start fully, because we need people to be charged of this development, particularly this transport, very, very key.
Mr. Wike promises to effect changes in spite of whose ox is gored.
I was calculating debt of non-payment of grant. How much? 34 billion naira. Ask him. I said, I'm going to collect all those. Leadership is important. If you don't care, those who work under you will not care. Don't worry about what people will say about me. I've never thought about what anybody said about me. If I wake up, nobody said anything about me. I'm sick.
The minister reiterates his earlier promise to resuscitate the Abuja Metro line in 8 months. From Abuja, Gloria Omezuke, Channels Television News.
Nigeria's Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, says President Bola Tinubu inherited a battered economy, but has been able to change the narrative within his 100 days in office. In a statement to commemorate the president's 100 days in office, the minister says since he was sworn in on May the 29th, the president has been at his duty post working assiduously to deliver on his campaign promises. Meanwhile, the minister says no other national symbol can be greater than the Nigerian flag as designed by the late Pat Taiwo Akikumi. He was speaking during a condolence visit to Oyo State, where he led a federal government delegation to the residence of the designer of the Nigerian flag.
First, we are here at the behest of Mr. President to offer our condolences and to also tell the family and the good people of Oyo State the place that the federal government places the deceased. We know that he's such an iconic individual. He has designed one of the most powerful symbols of our collective existence, as a country and as a nation. And therefore, Mr. President has asked that we come to commiserate with the family and to also tell them that Mr. President shares with them in this grief, and the federal government is with them throughout this period. And whatever request that the family puts forward to the federal government will be looked into.
Well, it's time for business news on the news at 10 with Anne Nwawado.
Thank you, Kayode. Hello and welcome to Business News. The African Development Bank, the AFDB, says it will provide $25 billion to the continent's climate fund over the next 27 years. This is to help accelerate the transition to cleaner energy sources. The AFDB president, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, made this known today at the ongoing climate summit in Kenya, where he also called for the combination of natural gas and renewable energy to harness Africa's potential in that space. The African Climate Summit, which is the first of its kind on the African continent, is centered on green growth and climate finance to seek a prosperous carbon-free Africa. The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has ordered parties in the suit filed by 3 aggrieved FBN Holdings PLC shareholders to file written addresses on whether the court can proceed with a hearing on the matter. Justice Akintayo Aluko gave the order after he notified the lawyers that the appeal instituted by FBN Holdings PLC before the Court of Appeal is seeking a review of the restraining order stopping the annual general meeting of FBN Holdings, which was held on August the 15th this year, as well as a stay of proceedings. On his part, the counsel of FBN Holdings, Mutalui Adebayo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, states that the holding of an AGM of a public liability company is statutory duty, and it is in line with the Companies and Allied Matters Act and cannot be restrained by the grant of an injunction. Heirs Insurance Group, insurance subsidiary of Heirs Holdings, the leading Pan-African investment company, says it sustained strong performance in its second year of operations. In its 2022 audited financial statement, which was approved by the National Insurance Commission, the group, which comprises Heirs General Insurance and Heirs Life Assurance, posted 20 billion naira in revenue for the year 2022, which strengthens its position as Nigeria's fastest growing insurance group. Further analysis of its financial report shows that Heirs Life made a total claim payout of 1.5 billion naira in the year 2022, which is about 484% increase from 257 million naira, which was paid in 2021, while the group's non-life insurer, that's Heirs General Insurance, recorded 143% increase in gross written premium within the fiscal year. Let's head to the equities market. It sustained the positive performance today in the second trading week, and Ladi Williams has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, second trading day of the week, and we're still firmly in positive territory. And look at the all-share index there, 0.08%. We'll take that marginal 68,334. Market cap 37 trillion. Let's move on to the activity chart there. We see it's slower buying pressure than what we had yesterday. 557 million units of stocks. Deals 9,818. Let's look at the sectoral performance. We see a pullback. The banking counter there, not letting us get that big gain today. Oil and gas still positively unchanged, but consumer goods still shining right now with Boa Foods there adding to the share price. Well, it's a tie for the market breadth today. We see 30 gainers against 30 losers. I guess it's safe to say the all-share index is still in new high discovery. And that's Stock Market Report. I'm Ladi Williams. It's back to you.
That's business news for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawado. The rest of the news at 10 continues now with Kayode.
Well, thank you, Anne. Gabon's newly sworn-in interim president has met with immediate assent by the economic community of Central African states. Well, Simon Pusey has more in and around the world in 5.
Good evening from the Channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. A US official says North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un plans to travel to Russia this month to meet President Vladimir Putin. The official said the two leaders will discuss the possibility of North Korea providing Moscow with weapons to support its war in Ukraine. The exact location of the planned meeting is not yet clear. There was no immediate comment on the report, also carried by other US media, from North Korea or Russia. Sources told the New York Times that Mr. Kim was most likely to travel by armored train. The possible meeting comes after the White House said it had new information that arms negotiations between the two countries were actively advancing. A photo posted online appears to show a Russian general who has not been seen in public since a mutiny by the Wagner mercenary group in June. Sergei Surovkin is said to have been close to Wagner boss Yevgeny Prigozhin, who died in a plane crash last month. There have been reports that General Surovkin is being investigated for possible complicity in the mutiny, but a photo purporting to show Russia's former commander in Ukraine has now been published on social media. A Japanese man has pleaded guilty to starting a fire at a popular animation studio that killed 36 people. The Kyoto animation studio blaze on the 18th of July 2019 was one of Japan's worst ever murder cases. Many of those killed were young animators trapped on the upper floor, and another 32 people were injured. While prosecutors are likely to seek the death penalty, Shinji Aoba's defense lawyers are seeking an acquittal, citing mental incompetence. His motives are unclear, but reports say Aoba accused Kyoto Animation of stealing his work, which the studio has denied. African leaders have arrived at the inaugural African Climate Summit being held in Nairobi, including Salva Kiir of Sudan, Paul Kagame of Rwanda, and the US Special Envoy on Climate, John Kerry. The African Union Commission chairperson, Deputy President Jeffrey Rigathi Gachagua, were there to greet the leaders as they entered the venue. The summit is focused on mobilizing financing for Africa's response to climate change. According to researchers, while Africa is suffering from some of the most severe impacts of climate change, the continent only receives about 12% of the financing it needs to cope. A boy has survived deadly floods in Spain by climbing up a tree and holding on to it overnight. The authorities said his family's car had been swept into a river and the boy's father was still missing. At least 3 people have died and another 3 are missing as record rainfall caused flooding in central Spain, that's according to police. Bridges were torn down and roads turned into rivers of mud in the heaviest hit regions southwest of Madrid. Meanwhile, flooded streets have also hit southeastern China after storms from now weakened Typhoon Haikui made landfall. Here, the coastal province of Fujian, with water flowing around vehicles stranded on streets. Severe areas in Fujian recorded more than 1 foot of rainfall in just over 24 hours. Burning Man organizers have reopened the road leading out of the remote Nevada Desert Festival, allowing tens of thousands of attendees to escape after they were trapped for days by mud. But many of the 64,000 people who remained on site as of Monday may choose to stay one more night and watch the festival's giant namesake effigy go up in flames. When the road finally reopened, a long line of vehicles snaked through the desert, inching along in an epic traffic jam as event organizers urged drivers to take it slowly on Monday and considered delaying their departure until Tuesday to reduce traffic. And the Queen frontman Freddie Mercury's piano will be auctioned on Wednesday. The singer composed the 1975 Queen epic Bohemian Rhapsody on the black Yamaha piano. It is estimated to sell for £2 to £3 million. Thousands of items belonging to the late Queen singer are being sold in several separate auctions.
This is a man's life in the round, his private world, his public world. It's not just about beautiful things, the beautiful things Freddie liked to surround himself with. It's about his own history, the moments in his career, his professional career as the great stage master, you know, the man who created some of the most memorable lyrics of the late 20th century.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Sam. And the first story of our sports center is the draws for the FIFA Club World Cup, where European champions Man City
will face Club Leon of Mexico or Japan Soroba Red Diamonds in the semi-finals. In other semi-finals, the yet-to-be-decided winners of the Copa Libertadores will face Saudi Arabia's Al Ittihad, Auckland City of New Zealand or Egypt Al Ahly, while the host nation's champion Saudi Arabia Pro League winners Al Ittihad will kick off the competition against Auckland. In the meantime, Monse Tommy is officially the first woman to be appointed coach of Spain's women's national team after the federation fired her boss Jorge Velda, which was a close ally of suspended FA President Luis Rubiales over a controversial non-consensual kiss. Tommy had been Velda's assistant coach since 2018 and established herself as a key player in the national team's growth. And away from football, American teenager Coco Gauff trashed Elena Ostapenko in the straight set to reach the semi-finals of the U.S. Open for the first time this evening. American 6th seed Gauff dominated Latvia's 20th seed Ostapenko from start to finish, winning 6-love, 6-2 in just about 1 hour, 8 minutes. And that's it on sports. Kyle, it is back to you.
Well, thank you, Jeff. And the main news again. The Presidential Election Petition Court is set to give its judgment in the petitions filed against the election of President Bola Tinubu. We'll stay with Channels Television for the live coverage of the proceedings at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Well, that's the news at 10 for tonight, everyone. Thank you for watching. I'm Kyle Okikile. Good night.